This fight answers one of the age-old questions in American boxing. Is the fighter from the middle of the country, Terence Crawford, who's been built up and is undefeated, is he real? Because Prescott is a world traveler and a real tough guy, and he's real.
And the reference to the middle of the country, Crawford is from Omaha, Nebraska. That area of the country is not noted for having produced great prize fighters over the years, instead for having produced built or ready-made opponents for guys who are on the way up and looking for lighter opposition. But Crawford is regarded as special. Certainly he was as an amateur. He was first alternate for the United States Olympic team in 2008, 19-0 as a professional so far with 15 knockouts. But just to reiterate, hasn't faced anybody with the kind of dossier or quality that Breidis Prescott has demonstrated in the ring.
Yet still he has to have a lot of credit given to him, though, because he actually is a 135-pounder. He stepped up to 140 to take this fight, and he stepped up against a very unique 140-pound fighter who has much more experience than himself. So you have to give him credit on that alone.
Stepping up, Roy, with only 2 weeks' notice, and moving from a 135-pound fight to a 140-pound fight. Weighs in at 139.5, indicating he mastered the weight in a relatively short period of time. But could there be a dark cloud there?
Could be a dark cloud there, but he didn't master the weight at a short period of time. It shows you that he is a full, legitimate 135-pounder, because even if he had weighed in at 135, he still probably would have come to the ring at about 150. As you see, Prescott, who weighed in at 40, who's a normal 40-pounder, came in at 157. Yeah, so that's where the extra weight probably came from. But his experience as an amateur is really doing him well in this first round, Crawford, and I think that that experience may lead him to a good situation tonight.
Mike Alvarado fans will remember Prescott for his all-out war with Alvarado on the undercard of a big pay-per-view here in Vegas more than a year ago.
Prescott threw a dangerous right hand, and Crawford's got there first.
Crawford definitely would be in the fight early because he's a good, sharp, young amateur fighter, well, a fighter who was a good amateur fighter. So to be a good amateur fighter, you had to be really good early, and he's very good early. Now, to see how can he sustain it is what will yet to be answered tonight.
The style scouting book going in anticipates that Crawford is a pure boxer-puncher with counter-punching skills. Breidis Prescott, more of a power puncher, though also a boxer puncher, loves his long jab with which he bedeviled Alvarado early in the fight, but maybe not with the same counter-punching instincts that Crawford has.
No, he's not the counter-puncher Crawford is, and he's not as sharp of a counter-puncher as Crawford is. Crawford is very polished, coming from that great amateur background. So the question here tonight would be, how long can Crawford carry this, and how long can he keep Prescott off of him?
Breidis Prescott commanded the first 6 or 7 rounds against Mike Alvarado, had him cut over the left eye and cut on the right lip, but Alvarado, with blood flowing, steamed to a brilliant comeback and ultimately scored the TKO in the late rounds, putting Prescott down.
Setting up the first Rios fight. To generalize about the middle of the country with Crawford. Crawford, as you mentioned, did have a distinguished amateur career. More generalizations, guys that we usually see out of Colombia are big punchers, but they're raw. Prescott, not so raw, had a deep amateur background himself.
215 amateur fights for Prescott, and that is at odds with what we have frequently seen from Colombia. Although years ago, you may remember a Colombian fighter named Rafael Pineda, a 135-pound fighter who also had a deep amateur background and was a gifted and skilled fighter.
Knocked out Roger Mayweather and then had his title lifted by Pernell Whitaker.
The one thing that Crawford is doing really smart here is he's giving Prescott a lot of lateral movement. He's going left and right, not allowing Prescott to set up and throw that bomb, because he knows that, like you said, Max, most Colombian fighters are really good punchers. So he's not allowing Prescott to have a chance to set up and throw that one bomb at him.
Likes to drop the right hand behind his long jab. Also very good with the left hook, which is the punch with which he knocked Amir Khan down twice in 54 seconds when he fought Khan. never did get a rematch against Amir. And that side-to-side movement, in addition to warding on, now you see Crawford switching southpaw, something that he will do frequently in the fight, or at least he has in past encounters. With that side-to-side movement, he's kind of neutralizing the jab. Excuse me, Max.
One of the reasons Prescott felt comfortable taking this fight, other than the fact that he'll fight anybody, he was training for a southpaw, and Crawford switches up southpaw so much they felt comfortable that it wasn't too much of a style change, even though they were training for a Russian southpaw who comes forward, and they get an American slickster who moves side to side.
The Russian southpaw, Habib Alakverdiev, had a record almost identical to that of Crawford and a background similar to that of Crawford.
Crawford looking very impressive here at his southpaw stance.
Go.
Well, certainly no case of nerves for Crawford in his first big show. Very relaxed in there. Ringside behind us tonight, Mike Tyson, enjoying fan adulation as his one-man show continues to tour the country.
To critically well-received reviews.
You don't want to say raves?
I would say some raves, yeah.
I've seen some raves, absolutely. People like the show. So far, by CompuBox numbers, this is like one of those NCAA tournament games where two teams who've been scoring 80 points per game all season suddenly are scoring 20. Prescott 5 out of 37 in the second round. Crawford 7 out of 29. That's a slow pace for two fighters who have shown offense in the past.
Well, Crawford, that's a good thing for, because he hasn't been known to go. I think this may be his first 10-round scheduled fight.
It is indeed.
So with him, he want to keep it as slow paced as he can so that he remains comfortable. Whereas with the other guy, he's a little bit more comfortable later as the fight goes.
One of the keys, I think, was Crawford got Prescott's respect in the first round. It's a slow pace, and that's partly to do with the fact that though slick, Crawford has some punching power.
Yes, he's slick, and he does have good punching power.
Dropped in a right hand that seemed to get Prescott's respect in round one.
Crawford seemingly increasingly comfortable here in the southpaw stance. Stays with it from the beginning of this round.
Watch all of them. Watch your heads, too.
So for the moment, Breidis Prescott is fighting a southpaw.
Well, now having neutralized some of Prescott's natural aggression, the key for Crawford is not to make mistakes.
And in a moment of recognition, Prescott leads with a straight right hand and lands it down the pipe against Crawford in that southpaw stance.
And Crawford took it pretty good, so I'm still a little bit amazed.
And there's a straight left hand for Crawford. Perfect antidote to the straight right hand that Breidis Prescott landed.
Crawford showing some very impressive boxing skills here.
And very impressive defense, I must add.
Roy, why do you think he's so comfortable fighting exclusively as a southpaw here rather than switching up and fighting right-handed?
Well, because he was such a good amateur fighter, and he obviously has so much experience at doing a southpaw. So guys like him, he probably is a lot like Marvin Hagler. It becomes second nature to him because he did it so much as a kid. It's like anything else. Anything you learn early, you're much better at it when you get older. So he's much better at fighting as southpaw, probably are much more comfortable than most Colombians are fighting the hand that they really are, because he has so much more experience at it. I like him against Prescott as a right-hander better, because Prescott has a big right hand, and this gives him.
I was wondering why he's doing this here.
This gives him an opportunity to land that big right hand better than had he been in a right-handed stance. But maybe he in his corner knows best.
If it ain't broke,
don't fix it. And here's why I don't like him as a left-hander, because see that straight right hand? That's the shot that would cause problems for a southpaw fighter against an orthodox fighter. And with Prescott, I think his right hand may be his best weapon, so that's why I don't really care for Crawford being in the southpaw stance, but if it's working for him in his corner and he's comfortable with it, why not?
Combat box numbers through round 3. Connect percentages are very low. Prescott 16 out of 110, Crawford 18 out of 108. They only landed 7 punches between them in the 3rd round. Harold, how do you have it scored so far?
Look at Jim. I've got it 2 rounds to 1. 29-28, Terence Crawford. Jim, I thought Breidis Prescott threw some nice shots in round 1, but in rounds 2 and 3, he didn't do a darn thing. I mean, he's a guy that he's a big puncher, and he's not getting off. Look, Crawford's got him in the middle of the ring, and Prescott's looking at him. And Crawford's popping him with jabs, and Prescott's looking at him. I mean, he's got to stop looking and let go of his hands. 2-1, Terence Crawford.
I'll take your word for it, Harold, but I think it's a shutout so far. You are scoring here. So, and the first round was close.
The good thing Crawford is doing, like I said before, he's going left and right, which is he's using lateral movement to neutralize Prescott right now. So Prescott is not throwing because he doesn't see anything.
And doesn't his natural movement in the southpaw stance take him away from Prescott's right hand?
Yes, it does.
Which may be part of the reason that he's staying there?
Very possible.
You also it may be a good indication of the kind of fighter Crawford is, in that as a righty, Prescott was also able to neutralize Crawford's offense. And here as a lefty, the connects seem to have risen, at least to my eye, for both guys. And Crawford's looking to land some offense even, you know, as a slick boxer.
Well, he's not allowing Prescott to land much right now. That's always a good thing for him, especially when he's fighting against a puncher.
So there's a right hand whipped around the outside by Prescott.
And to your point, Jim, he was circling away and it took some of the sting off the punch.
Indeed.
Stop. Okay, watch your feet, okay? Watch the feet. All right. Puck.
Crawford here attempting to pull off a difficult, dangerous style at the highest level, or at a very high level, which is, you don't see a lot of clinches. There you saw one. He's staying more or less in punching range against a puncher and trying to outbox him on a dime. Difficult to pull off, but highly effective if you can do it.
Yeah,
and so far, he's doing all right.
He's doing a good job of it. I think his jab is enabling him to do such a good job at it because that jab is keeping Brandon Prescott's hands at home. Right there. Beautiful jab.
Crowd doesn't love it, but it's an effective defensive show. Combat box numbers on jabs through the 4th round. Prescott 12 out of 96, Crawford 15 of 107. It has been a jabbing contest. Prescott landed 6 of 29 jabs in the 4th round.
Yeah, the Rios Alvarado crowd, maybe not the best to unveil this kind of style.
Right, last thing they came to see.
If it was Mayweather or a Hopkins or a pure boxer in the main event, maybe they'd appreciate it a little bit more. But I don't find it, it's obviously not action-packed, but it's for the purists, but it's pretty to watch, I think.
I think it's beautiful to watch. Crawford's doing some really good boxing, doing a good job of neutralizing a much bigger guy, probably a much more powerful guy, but you know, Crawford's showing you some excellent boxing skills.
Well, the nature of the fight is limiting Prescott's power. He did stick Crawford with a right hand here a moment ago, but at this point, you can almost feel Prescott trying to shorten up his punches and land something. There's a really good left hand over the top by Terence Crawford there as Prescott tried to step in.
And he's doing this against not only a junior welterweight when he's really a lightweight, but a big, tall junior welterweight with a real punch. So he has to be extra careful here in his first step-up fight on HBO.
You get the impression that Prescott is going to have to hope that Crawford's clock will wind down in the later rounds.
And I don't think that's going to happen.
He has to hope that Crawford makes a mistake and his head is in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Prescott trying to get closer. His face seems to be exhibiting a little bit more frustration. or sense of urgency. We're into round 5 of a scheduled 10.
Well, Prescott is throwing some body shots, which is smart.
And Prescott's showing some real frustration there, winging wide shots.
Missing 3 swings over the top.
And you see Crawford's remaining disciplined, sticking to his straight punches and his smart strategy.
Prescott came very close to cutting off the ring and getting Crawford into a corner, but Crawford slipped away.
And the question for Crawford, should he continue to do this? He's not an extrovert. He's not going to talk a great game, say like Adrian Bronner or someone like that. Can he succeed at the highest level with the fans as a quiet counterpuncher in and out of the ring?
Quick right hand by Crawford as he moved away. Prescott having trouble finding him. Crowd having trouble finding a reason to get excited.
Make it clean. Right to head, right to head. Let's go. Let's go.
Prescott got some blood on his face from the cut. Here you see the headbutt, accidental collision of heads. Nobody did anything on purpose, but both fighters were a little upset about it. So we'll see what happens now.
Well, at least Prescott was upset about it. He was the one that started jawing at first. And then Terence Crawford seemed to feel as though, you know, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And he wanted to yell back. So they both got in a few words as they went back to their corners. But now Prescott has that cut outside the left eye, and Nevada State Athletic Commission Executive Director Keith Kaiser did hold up a card to inform everyone at ringside it was the result of an accidental butt.
Well, we'll see how Crawford responds to an infuriated Prescott here, but I liked what I saw out of him after the headbutt. Prescott complained, told him to shut up. He grabbed himself in a certain area, Crawford did, and called him the B word. So, I mean, you know, he was forceful about it.
So far, Crawford's responded with a good hard right hook and a straight left hand, which both have landed in this round.
Yeah, he's not coming here to give this fight away, son. He came here to win tonight. And he's showing in the ring that he wants to be in control at all times, no matter what happens.
And he's showing that when it gets rough, the other guy complains, shut up, I'm not complaining, you don't complain, we're fighting.
And now Crawford eats a hard right hand down the middle from Prescott. One of those rare occasions when Prescott's been able to take advantage of the southpaw stance with the straight right hand lead.
And Crawford is very impressive here as a southpaw to me. Looks just as natural left-handed as he does right-handed. Gotta love that.
Well, we've seen him almost exclusively as a southpaw.
That's what I said. Oh, good shot. Good exchange.
Great left hand shot by Crawford. This has been a brilliant counter-punching round for Crawford as he switches back into a conventional stance. He's waiting for Prescott to make a move, popping him with a counter shot, and then getting his feet moving before Breidis can fire back.
Well, as it got rougher, Crawford got better. He stood his ground so far. He's still a very dangerous puncher, and used the aggression of the infuriated Prescott
a good shot
against him.
Double body shot from Crawford. He's having a brilliant round after the accidental headbutt inflamed Breidis Prescott.
And the left and right movement from Crawford is just not allowing Prescott to get off much tonight.
Big difference in accuracy between the two fighters in this round.
Break. Watch that head. Cut it out. Watch your head. Let's go.
Well, in addition to everything else that's going on, I don't think Prescott likes referee Vic Draculage.
I think Prescott is frustrated.
Very.
Here you see Crawford land a beautiful right hook on that left eye, which is right above the cut that Prescott has. Then he come back and they land simultaneously, but his overhand left landed again right on that cut.
And when Prescott rabbit punched him, Crawford did not complain.
And the CompuBox numbers reflected what I was telling you about that round. Crawford 17 of 48. That's by far the highest number anyone's landed in the fight. Prescott was only 7 out of 40. Crawford 17 landed punches, the first time either fighter has broken into double digits in the fight. Harold, how do you have it now?
Okay, Jim, I've got it 5 rounds to 1. 59-55, Terence Crawford. He keeps popping him with that right jab. He's got Prescott off balance. Prescott's fighting Crawford's fight. Crawford's keeping his fight in the middle of the ring, using that right jab, coming over with that straight left hand, and unless Breidis Prescott starts to punch a lot more, he can't win this fight. 5-1, Terence Crawford.
You'll notice from time to time Prescott lands a shot, a jab usually.
Straight right hand moments ago.
Yeah, and that's because Crawford's not a scary fighter in the parlance of boxing, meaning he doesn't fight as though he's scared. Good defensive fighters are not impossible to hit with any one shot. It's hard to hit them with more than one shot. Problem with Prescott is he can put your lights out with one shot.
Yeah, but Crawford has him so neutralized here with the lateral movement and the fact that he's not backing straight up, because a fighter like Prescott, who's a real puncher, likes to come straight forward with his punches. There you see Crawford is punching and stepping around to his right, which is not allowing Prescott to come straight ahead as a puncher.
Oh, Prescott getting close and landing a couple there.
Action beginning to heat up. Prescott getting some chances, but seemingly off balance for much of the fight.
But those are the chances that he needs to take. He needs to make this more of a scrap instead of a boxing match. He's not going to outbox Terence Crawford.
Between rounds, you heard Prescott's handlers in his corner saying you're winning the fight. Probably they tell him that to try to keep his confidence and his energy level up, prevent him from getting discouraged. He's not winning the fight, so it would appear to us.
Tell you what, Crawford, when he's fighting those lightweights in Omaha, they're not as big and strong and crafty as Prescott. Knocked Prescott off balance, and occasionally Prescott's reaching him with that right hand.
Prescott lands a left hook, Crawford lands a right hook at the same time.
Crawford has a real heart, I'll tell you that.
Crawford giving as good as he's getting, and much slicker than the wild swinging Breidis Prescott as these rounds go forward.
He's got a fighter's temperament, as trainer and broadcaster Teddy Atlas would say. A fighter's temperament, Crawford, even though it's in the body of a slick boxer. He has a toughness about him.
Power punches through 7. Breidis Prescott 21 out of 110. And Terence Crawford much more accurate at 33 of 91. Harold Letterman has given every round since the first to Terence Crawford, fighting in his first 10-round event, fighting at this level of competition for the first time in a career which has been developing ever since he turned pro in 2008. Terence Crawford from Omaha, Nebraska, trying to defy the boxing stereotype that great fighters can't come from that part of the country.
Well, he's defied that already, Jim, because he got all the way to the Olympic alternate, which says a lot for him. But to see the things that he's doing with a much bigger and much more experienced opponent here tonight says a lot for Terence Crawford. He's really making a statement here to me, and I definitely like to see him in against some more experienced, bigger named 135-pounders.
Yeah, with 35, who has anything for him if he can continue like this? But there's still 3 more rounds to go, 2.5 more rounds to go, and he's in with a guy who can put your lights out.
True, and there's also a guy at 35 now named Adrian Bronner, so that's not bad.
No, but it looks like he's moving up.
Yeah, for the moment.
Well, if he's fighting Paulie Malignaggi at 147 pounds, hard to imagine that he's coming back to 135 anytime soon. Although conceivably, that weigh station at 140 may beckon. Crawford fighting here in a 140-pound fight. Says that he can go back to 135, or he can stay at 140, depending on how this feels to him. So far, I like the 140.
Or he can go to 147. I mean, he's 150 right now.
And one small factor in that, Roy, he has the biggest hands I've ever seen on a 135 or 140-pound fighter. And those big hands will help him if he moves up to welterweight.
Most definitely.
Well, let's see him. You know, he's a natural lightweight. He wants to campaign down there. He's still in with a dangerous guy who can knock you out with one punch. But if he continues this, he's putting on the kind of show here where you imagine it wouldn't be easy for anyone.
He's getting a little more comfortable with his offense, a little bit more willing to trade with Prescott, and that makes it a little bit more dangerous as these late rounds progress.
Most definitely, Jim, but as long as he uses that jab and stays away like he's doing, it's going to be very difficult for Prescott to catch him. Not that he won't, but it's going to be very difficult.
Prescott regards himself as a hard luck fighter. Knocked out Amir Khan in 54 seconds, never could get the rematch as Khan came on to greater prominence and bigger money. Went to Belfast, Ireland to fight Paul McCloskey and got the predictable unanimous decision loss, although most ringside observers felt he had won the fight, and so on and so forth. Boundary box averages through 8 rounds. Crawford 10 out of 40 per round. Prescott 5 out of 38 per round. Division average is 18 out of 60 per round. So it is a very defensive battle. Breidis Prescott is not a defensive fighter. He's an offensive fighter. This is not the kind of fight he wanted.
He's also, good right
Hard
hand.
right hand by Prescott.
Prescott's also the kind of guy, you know, it's easy for a fighter to look good if he's carefully matched, as Crawford's been so far. And we see lots of examples on a world-class level of guys moved carefully. No one wants to fight Breidis Prescott. You fight him if you have to. And it's a big opportunity for Crawford, and so he's fighting him, but it makes what he's doing here doubly impressive.
But to pick up on the narrative of the hard luck story of Breidis Prescott's career, takes a lead over Mike Alvarado, seems to be in control of that fight, then ultimately wilts down the stretch, gets knocked out by the super courageous Alvarado. Lost to Kevin Mitchell in a high-level bout against a really good fighter. And now here, he probably feels as though he might have had a better chance in retrospect against Habib Alakberdiev, who's a little bit stronger than Crawford, but not as quick. And the quickness has bothered Prescott.
Prescott, meanwhile, just bloodied Crawford's nose
with a right hand.
And I think that cut over that left eye of Prescott is starting to give him a little trouble because I see him hitting at it every now and then, like he's trying to clear it up or clear the blood from his eye. That's a great jab from Crawford.
You see the fans booing a little here. It reminds me of a... Oh, there you go. Now Crawford's opening up.
Great counterpunch rally by Crawford there.
And Crawford also has been very smart that he's been going to Prescott's body.
Good uppercuts.
Something you definitely want to do to a stronger fighter, especially in the late rounds.
If you watch MMA sometimes, they'll be rolling around on the ground, it looks like, to a casual observer, and there's not enough action, but they're actually doing a lot of subtle things, jockeying for position, so they can open up big things. And that's what Crawford did this round. It's the equivalent of grappling. He did a lot of little things that opened up some big things later in the round that the fans didn't appreciate.
You saw at the bottom of the screen Nonito Donaire's tweet comparing Terence Crawford to Pernell Whitaker. I wonder if he'd make the comparison if Crawford had stayed in his conventional stance, but he's gone most of the way in that southpaw stance. Harold, how do you have it coming to the 10th?
Okay, Jim, I got to tell you, I am really disappointed in Breidis Prescott. I got an 89-82, 8 rounds to 1, Terence Crawford. I mean, he's taking a big guy, and he's beating him up. And Breidis Prescott just doesn't open up, doesn't throw the hard shots he's capable of. You know, he'll probably call me up tomorrow, tell me I'm a lousy judge. But even still, I don't think Breidis Prescott is fighting a good fight. I think Terence Crawford is fighting a tremendous fight. 8-1 Crawford.
Prescott came very close to putting his glove on the canvas, which would have given Crawford credit for a knockdown.
Well, Prescott's corner told him the truth this round, at least. They told him he's losing and he needs a knockout to win. So somebody figured out
Body
something.
shots by Crawford.
Crawford could be taking it easy here and cruising to victory, but he wants to hurt his guy.
He's trying to get him out of there, son, especially with those body shots. That could be dangerous, but he's definitely going in the right direction.
I wonder if Crawford has been tempted into taking this chance by the boos that he heard at the end of the last round.
Well, where he does remind me of Whitaker, other than the obvious ways, as Donaire points out, is he'll hit you in the face with his head and tell you to shut up. I mean, he's a tough guy.
Yep, that's right. A quiet, tough guy, although he is talking in there. But what a show for Terence Crawford. He's combined movement, fluidity, tremendous awareness, the ability to fight from two different stances, great counter-punching skill to thoroughly dominate Breidis Prescott, at least from our perspective.
Definitely throwing a new name into that 140, 147-pound mix.
135-pound man.
Well, there's no names there anyway since is gone, since Adrian Braun is gone.
How would you like to see Bronner and Crawford one day?
I'd love to see it. Not one day, right after this fight with...
Later tonight?
Yeah,
Thursday,
yeah.
Wednesday.
That's right. Well, he's still got 40 seconds with a dangerous puncher. Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, it has.
Crawford with a big grin on his face, showboating just a little now.
Prescott just wasn't busy enough tonight.
Yeah, and that's because of Crawford. It's what Crawford did, not what Prescott didn't do.
Exactly.
Just a better all-around fighter. Can do more things than Breidis Prescott, and showed it here tonight. Michael Buffer is now ready with the official scores on this one.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Mandalay Bay of Las Vegas, we go to the scorecards. Don Trella scores at 99-91. Glenn Trowbridge, 97-93, and Bert Clements, 100-90. All to the winner by unanimous decision, still undefeated. From Omaha, Nebraska, Terence "Bud" Crawford.
So it's a big win for Terence Crawford. Stepping up in class. Originally, he was to fight on the undercard. Got this opportunity because Habib Alekberdiev came down with a bad elbow within the past 2 weeks. Crawford seized the opportunity. His manager, Cameron Duncan, was kind of nervous about it, but at the end of the day, no big reason for the nerves, as Crawford was statistically dominant in CompuBox numbers, as well as dominant on all three scorecards. And here are the numbers for the fight. You can see that Crawford landed 48 more punches, threw 29 more punches, landed at a significantly higher connect percentage, was more and more offensively effective as the fight went on. Total jabs, landed 20 more, threw 68 more, landed at a slightly higher percentage.
I'll tell you what, Jim, with Bronner moving up, Crawford still without a significant win at lightweight is the class of the lightweight division right now.
Which is a relatively weak division. And, but that, those things change cyclically from time to time. Here's the punch zone graphic that shows you the punches which landed on Crawford, and he was able to limit the number of times that Prescott, with the big right and left hand, could get to his chin, while at the same time he was landing repeatedly, and most particularly the 67 shots to the left side of Breidis Prescott's head. Most of those were the right jab with which Crawford was so effective out of the southpaw stance throughout the fight.